Hello and welcome to the pre-match analysis between Pakistan and Bangladesh. It's a must-win game for both teams, and even then, they'll have to wait for the result of the game between India and Nepal. Both teams will want to increase their goal difference to the fullest, as the points could even out. Pakistan and Bangladesh will also both fear of the game between Nepal and India ending in a draw, a result that would take both India and Nepal through to the semi-finals. To discuss furthermore, I have here with me Shahrukh Sohail, Chief Editor, Football Pakistan, and Atishay Agarwal, Editor, 90 Minutes Magazine, the only football magazine in India. Atishay, I'll start with you. There's a lot going on here in Group A, isn't it? It was a group of sudden death, so it was perceived by the audience, and now it is turning out to be one. Could you break down the scenario for our audience?
Well, it's going to be the most interesting day in the tournament so far because we have a group here, and before the last round of matches, we have all 4 teams in with a chance to qualify for the semis. The worst possible scenario for Pakistan and Bangladesh right now is that India and Nepal draw their game. Because if India and Nepal draw, both of them move on to the semi-finals. So firstly, Pakistan and Bangladesh will require either Nepal or India to win. So the scenario here is that at the SAFF Championship 2013, if 2 teams are tied on points in the group, we first look at the head-to-head result between them. And if that head-to-head result is a draw, then we move on to goal difference. So what we have here is if Pakistan want to qualify for the semis, they will need India, which is quite ironical, they'll need India to beat Nepal. And once that happens, Pakistan would want to ensure that they win by a couple of goals so that they have a better goal difference and qualify for the semis. Similarly for Bangladesh, they would want Nepal to beat India. So a win for either side is not enough. They will require the other result to go their way as well.
Right. So India and Nepal, they've got it pretty straightened out. 1 win and they're through to the semis. But Pakistan, their chances look pretty hefty, looking at a distance.
Yes, I think it's been a case of unlucky so far for Pakistan as well, and I think this could be a very interesting situation. Having been so unlucky in the first 2 matches, it could be quite ironic if luck plays a major role in getting Pakistan to the semi-finals.
Well, Nepal and India have it pretty straightened out. 1 win and they would be to the semi-finals. But Pakistan, it's a tough chance ahead for them.
Yes, definitely. It's been quite unlucky so far for Pakistan, having played so well in the first 2 games. It could have 6 points at the moment, but luck played a major role in that. And since we are tied on a very grave situation here, it would be quite ironic to see Pakistan playing on their luck and getting to the semi-finals.
Do you believe that they should be 6 points up in the table, considering the game they've played against India and also Nepal, conceding a goal only on the 90th minute?
Yes, once you look at the last game against Nepal, yes, looking at once you take the balance of play into account, yes, a draw is a good result, but I think the Pakistani defense, if not anyone else, deserved 3 points in that one.
Right. Atishay, what did you make out of Bangladesh's game in the last match between India and Bangladesh?
I think it was pretty much the same story as they performed against Nepal. They were mostly tidy in defense. They restricted India to just 2 or 3 clear-cut chances. But apart from that, again, it was the same problem of a lack of creativity in the final third. Against India, they moved Amali up to centre forward and dropped Wahid Ahmed to the bench and instead brought in Sohail Rana in attacking midfield. But there seemed to be no real change in the way they created chances. Their goal against India also came through a set piece and a deflection. So again, it was a similar kind of problem, and they'll have to really work on that because they need to score today and they need to win. Right.
Bangladesh, as you rightly mentioned, that it took a deflection. The goal scoring woes for Bangladesh has continued during this tournament. They haven't been able to score against the host Nepal, whom they've beaten so often. So what do you think is the problem there in the lineup?
Of course, I think they are missing Ronnie, who has been injured and been unable to play apart from a substitute's role against Nepal. But I think their overall play, I mean, they haven't been able to, there's not been enough imagination in attack. The movement of the ball hasn't been impressive enough. And when they have got into decent positions, they've either lost possession or, have misplaced a pass or something. So it's mostly getting things down, getting things right in attack, which they haven't been able to do so far.
Right. Pakistan so far have gotten the things right in the attack. Hassan Bashir coming in to score a brilliant goal. But do you think another player needs to step up now for Pakistan and make sure that he joins the goal tallies too?
Yes, Pakistan's other striker, Muhammad Ali, has been injured for the SAFF Championship and consequently he didn't play. So I'm looking at Kalimullah for this game, and perhaps he needs to step up his mark and score a couple of goals like he usually does in the Pakistan Premier League.
Right. Mamunul Islam, the captain of the Bangladeshi side, was injured, but it was good to see him come back as a sub in the game. Do you believe that he could fit in the playing 11 in today's game?
I think he's going to start today because he's a huge inspirational figure for them. And even when he was warming up on sidelines against India, there were huge cheers from the Bangladeshi contingent in the crowd and the media box as well. Of course, he did come on against India and had an instant impact. It was his corner that led to Meshu's goal, which opened the scoring against the Indians. So you can see, how much his presence lifts the Bangladeshi side. And I think this being a do-or-die game for them, I think he's going to start.
So talking about the performances of the players from the Bangladeshi side, the defenders were right on spot. They restricted India to, not equaling the scores till the 90th minute too.
Yeah, I think both teams, India and Bangladesh, were well organized during the game. Both restricted the other side to very few chances, and it was only a deflection through which Bangladesh scored and a free kick in the dying minutes through which India scored. So both sets of defenders did really well, and apart from those two mistakes that the Bangladeshi defenders made against Nepal, they've been very sound in defense.
Right. What was the hassle with the referee and the fourth official about? Because Coach de Cruyff also mentioned in the post-match conference that the referee was not playing in their favor.
It was a very, very heated press conference after the game. De Cruyff was obviously very upset having conceded a late equalizer through a free kick in injury time. And he was of the opinion that it wasn't a free kick at all. But then he went on to accuse the referee and the fourth official, who was incidentally their referee for the Nepal match, of creating problems for Bangladesh all day long, whether it's something to do with their boots, their tags, their socks, everything. He said that the fourth official was picking on Bangladesh all day, but but wasn't doing the same with India. And that's why he had a spat with the fourth official throughout the second half. There were a lot of words exchanged, after which the referee had to send de Cruyff off to the stands. So, there's a lot of incident there. If you were there at the ground, it was quite heated up at the final whistle.
Right. Talking about wrong decisions from the referee, there was one on the 90th minute between the game of Nepal and Pakistan too. That really should have been a free kick when Butt jumped in and then tried to punch the ball, didn't he?
Yes, when Yusuf Butt came out, I expected that he asked his defenders to move his side and for him to claim the ball, which is why the Nepali attackers were able to get there in the first place. But having said that, yes, Yusuf was fouled, but I think Yusuf would have been much better off if he had come in stronger, even if after that he would he have gotten fouled, it would have definitely been given because it would be much more prominent at that point.
Right. But Pakistan seemed pretty defensive after they scored that one goal. And Nepal were right on attack, and Yusuf Butt made some excellent saves. But do you think Pakistan have to start playing and formulating their strategies to play a little more aggressive?
Yes, 1-0 is obviously a very difficult score to, maintain throughout the game, and Pakistan should have scored one more. Hassan had a very good chance to score, but unfortunately he missed. So yes, Pakistan should have scored and then perhaps dropped back, but as you look at it, Nepal had the support of the home crowd and were going out for an all attack. So if Pakistan had chosen to go forward at that point, they could have conceded more goals at the back. So I think looking at it from the total 90 minutes point of view, yes, Pakistan would right to go back to defensive, but then again, they should have, scored one more goal before pursuing that.
You did mention in the last pre-match that the inclusion of the overseas players in Pakistan lineup has not been well received by the Pakistani media, but really the Hassan Bashir, Jason Rahman going on to prove that they are the core of the Pakistani national team.
Yes, as you mentioned earlier, Pakistan's media and the fans actually have not been very supportive of the foreign players playing for Pakistan, but as Hassan Bashir has been Pakistan's star of the tournament, scoring goals, hitting the post and whatnot. Zash Rahman, as you mentioned, is Pakistan's best defender at the moment, and in the last game, I think he was magnificent. He just showed his Premier League class that time, and he only had to make one tackle. He was so good on the ball and keeping the other attackers at bay.
Well, what did you make out of Pakistan's overall performance in the last game with Nepal, and what do you think went wrong?
Well, Pakistan played brilliantly for the first 30 minutes, and they scored. After scoring the goal, Pakistan dropped back a little defensively and then allowed Nepal to come forward. And for most of the match, that did work as well. But in injury time, it was just a case of Nepal getting a fairy tale winner and with the 15-year-old coming on to score.
Right, the fairy tale win was not only for Nepal but also for India when they level scores, right?
Yes.
But Bangladesh really, they've got no forward players that are delivering. Toklis Ahmed, who's trying to produce shots, not working.
Yes, he's a hardworking young guy. He had a decent game against Nepal, and I think I pointed out that he'll be one of the key players for the game against India, but he didn't turn up. Of course, a part of that is down to Nirmal Chhetri, the right back for India, who had a solid game again. But Turkey's, first of all, he didn't get involved as much. He didn't get hold of the ball as much, and when he did, there was the odd loose touch which led to him losing possession. He needs to up his game a little bit and get a bit more involved, because when he has the ball at his feet, he can dribble and make things happen. So it'll be important for Bangladesh that he ups his game in this crucial game today.
Right. Do you think Shakawat, Hossain and Roni is get a chance to have a go in today's match?
It's unlikely. I don't think he's going to start, but because he's not fully fit. But then again, it's the call that Bangladeshi staff will have to take, whether he can play with an injection or something like that. But both Mahmudul and Roni are not fully fit, not 100%. So it's up to them to take the call, because it's a do-or-die game. Maybe he starts and plays just the first half, or maybe he comes on at halftime. Something like that could work out.
Right. The striker's not working out, so the defense line has to strengthen, right? What did you make out of the captain Nasruddin Chowdhury's performance, Lincoln, Wali, Faisal? Do you think they were portraying a good game?
Yes, I think they were pretty solid for most of the game. I mean, India on paper are a much stronger side, but they restricted India to very, very few chances. I mean, the coach Wim Kovermans came out and said that India created 10, 11 chances, but I don't think that was the case at all. There was one clear chance in the 5th or 6th minute, which Sunil Chhetri missed. But apart from that, there was just one or two more chances which will actually clear cut. Bangladesh did a really good job in defense, I think, the other day. And we obviously had centre-back Meshu scoring also.
Well, in a game like this where so many things are going on, what mindsets are the Pakistani players going to come to this match with? What are the strategies that they're going to make?
Obviously, first they have to focus on their match and, have to score the goals they're required to. And after that, they can worry about the other result going their way. So Pakistan need to go out for an all-out attack today. They need to find the back of the net early on in the game and then build on that. They need to score 2 to 3 goals if it comes down to goal difference. So yes, Pakistan have to play a very attacking game today. Hassan Bashir, as you know, is in good form right now, and the midfielders just have to create a lot of chances for him so he can score. And perhaps someone like Kalimullah or perhaps Adnan as well could step up and aid Hassan in goal scoring.
Right. Coming back to Atishay, do you believe this Bangladeshi team have enough confidence to go on to the semi-finals? Because the last match where the scores were level, they were completely devastated.
Yes, I mean, I think after the final whistle, the media box was very near the Bangladeshi dressing room, and we could hear howling after the final whistle. They were absolutely distraught. Most of the players were in tears. A lot of them were lying on the pitch after the final whistle. The coach and assistant coach were infuriated. So it was, in fact, man of the match. Meshu was the man of the match there. And while collecting and posing with his award for the photographers, he was in tears. He wasn't smiling with his award. He was crying. So they were very devastated. But the thing is that when you have a result like this go against you, when you concede a late equalizer or a late winner, there are just two ways in which you can react. Either you feel sorry for yourself, and you already demoralized and feel that you're unlucky and there's everything's going against you. That doesn't help. The other way you can react is think that you did a lot of things right in that match, and that if you do it again, maybe this time luck will be on your side. You have to come out stronger and respond in that fashion. Hopefully they can do that for De Cruyff.
Yes, of course, their chances cannot be overruled. This is a football match. You can never say. So what are the strategies that they're going to go to the match with against a team like Pakistan?
Well, it's a do-or-die game, so they need to score. That's the first thing. But I don't think they're going to change their system or play two strikers up front. I think they're going to keep that 5-man midfield because physically Pakistan a little stronger than Bangladesh. So Bangladesh's best chance is to pass the ball on the ground, retain possession, and create chances from there. And for that, I think they'll need a 5-man midfield so that they can keep hold of the ball. If they play two strikers, there's always the temptation to play the ball long because with a 4-man midfield, it's slightly tougher to keep the ball. So I think they're going to keep the system the same. They're going to play that 4-2-3-1 formation that has worked decently for them. It's just about adding that little bit of creativity in the final third.
Right. Coming back to Pakistan's performance, the defense line was solid. The front line led by Hassan Bashir was solid. Do you think there was some problems in the midfield? And do you think Jason Rahman, for that matter, should come up and play a little bit of midfield too?
Well, Zesh started as defensive midfield in the first game, and that didn't work out well for Pakistan because when Zesh goes in front, the defensive line becomes weak, and that is a risk Pakistan just cannot take at this moment. So I think Adnan Ahmed and perhaps Saddam Hussein, who played in the last game, they need to step up their performances. And Adnan, who has the capability to score, he needs to create chances and score them as well. But there's an interesting scenario coming up as well. Yaqub Bhatt, who is incidentally Yusuf's brother and plays in Denmark as well, he's capable of playing as a defensive midfielder, but we don't know why he's not being started by the coach, and we've confirmed that there is no injury in place. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see whether Saddam starts or Yaqub starts, and although Adnan will start, he needs to help Hassan with scoring.
Right. Talking about Jason Rahman, he is enjoying playing here, isn't he? I have a tweet from him. He says, 30,000 Nepal fans at the game today were amazing, contributing to one of the best atmospheres I've played in Asia. He added, good luck to Nepal in the next game. Amazing fans in Nepal who are so passionate. I'm a fan of Nepal now also. He doesn't want to go back home, does he?
Definitely. I don't think he wants to go back home without the trophy either. So he's definitely going to be at his best again, and he's going to try to make sure that Pakistan don't concede any goals.
Right.
And I'm sure he wished Nepal good luck. I'm sure he's not wishing them good luck anymore because he needs India to win today.
Right. That's the irony that we have for us to face. We talked about Yusuf Bhatt. We talked about Jason Rahman. Let's come up to the Bangladeshi lineup. Who do you think can really step up, create that one chance which Bangladesh can score off?
I think they're going to look to the skipper once more. I mean, I think Mamunul has to start today. Even if he's 70 to 80% fit, he has to start because that would give them the best chance of getting that goal early. So I think they're going to look to him a lot. Amali, started up front in the last game against India, but he disappointed. He had the best chance of the game against India, for both sides. He had an absolute sitter, like just 5 yards from goal. He just required a tap in, but he missed it completely. He miscued it wide of goal. So, Amali has to step up. He needs to get his shooting boots on, but it's really going to be down to Mamunul, who's probably going to start today and inspire them in midfield and attack.
Right. The last game between Nepal and Pakistan, do you think Pakistan at the 90th minute were a little overconfident and perhaps perceived that Nepal cannot score after that? Why wasn't Bimal Ghaurtimagar marked in the D-box area?
Yes, well, definitely. I think that's more of a case of confusion between the defenders as well. When, for example, when Yusuf caught for the ball, his defenders are supposed to leave it for him so that he can either clear or catch the ball. And once he did that, the defenders moved a bit forward, and the Nepali attack, they jumped on Yusuf, and he also got fouled, but that wasn't prompt enough for the referee to notice. So definitely, Pakistan have to make sure that none of these cock-ups happen again, and they keep themselves going forward and, just keep it solid.
Right. Looking at both teams playing 11, Pakistan's playing 11 is way higher ranked than what we see of Bangladesh. But do you believe this Bangladesh has the capacity to beat Pakistan by a huge margin and make it to the semi-finals?
Yes, I think both teams are capable of beating each other on the day, but it's very tight between the two teams. It's very tough to say which team is really, stronger than the other. Pakistan have the better individual players, Hassan Bashir, Adnan Ahmed, Jason Rahman and the likes. But Bangladesh have been playing decently well as a team, and they've been quite sound in defense. Also, on the other hand, while Pakistan have these, impressive individual players, they haven't played as well as they could have against Nepal as a team, especially in midfield. The midfield, I think, overall disappointed against Nepal because after scoring, they couldn't keep hold of the ball for too long. Right. So it's very difficult to pick which side is really stronger. It's going to come down to nerves also because both teams are going to be, they're going to have to throw themselves forward, and also, they know that once goal is scored against them, it's going to be really, really difficult. So it's also a matter of nerves.
Right. That is what I was about to ask Shahrukh. The first goal, the team that scores the first goal, really, the pressure is going to be immense on the other side, isn't it?
So that's exactly why Pakistan need to score first and then maintain that lead. But then again, you have to take a look at the scenario for both teams. If Bangladesh scores, it's going to become very difficult for Pakistan to maintain their possession or even score for that matter. So it's just a matter of who scores first and then maintains the nerves.
The risk also in this game is, let's say, if Bangladesh or Pakistan take the lead, and if they're holding a 1-0 lead, it might not be enough. Right. Because if in the Nepal-India game, the teams that are leading or trailing by just a single goal, it might not be enough for Bangladesh or Pakistan.
Exactly, so as Atishay just mentioned, it's going to be a very attacking game for both sides. They need to score goals, and since they're going to go out for an all-attacking game, it's going to be very, very interesting for the spectators at least. So
if they even if one of the teams is leading 1-0, they might have to score another, and they can throw men forward, for that as well, and because of that they could concede. Right. So it's a very tricky game today.
Talking about creating opportunities for Bangladeshi side to score on, Mubarak Hussain Bhuiya is one person that really needs to step up in today's game.
Yes, he didn't start the first game against Nepal, but came in place of Zahid Hussain on the right wing against India. For most of the game, he really did impress. He looked a bit uncomfortable in possession and didn't really show enough pace on the right flank against Mohan Raj, who has been India's weak link so far in the first two games. But although he did beat Mohan Raj on one or two occasions, he didn't do enough. And maybe Zahid Hussain comes back in place of him on the right flank, in today's game. But if he retains his place, he really need to step up his game. That's true.
What role do you think the goal scorer Meshu is going to play in today's game?
He started in central midfield against Nepal, moved back to centre back against India, and did an even better job. So he's shown his versatility in that sense. He scored a very good goal. So I think he's going to start at centre back again today because he had a very fine game against India, and hopefully restrict Pakistan from scoring.
Right, Shahrukh, I always enjoy asking these questions to you. Tell me one player who's going to step up and perform in today's game.
I think since we're talking about scoring, I think it's going to be Hassan Rashid again. He's been on good form, and I back him to score today. But then again, I think if Hassan scores 1-2 goals, you need other Pakistani players to get on the score sheet as well.
Right. What about you, Atishay? Who do you think is going to step up from Bangladeshi side in today's game?
I'm fully expecting Mamunul Islam to start and captain the side today, and he is their talisman. He is their inspiration, and I think he's going to be the key man. And don't be surprised if he grabs an assist or a goal.
Right. Now you've got to tell me your predictions. So far, not gone so good for us, right? But what do you think is the prediction, the score line in today's match going to be?
I think it's going to be a favourable scoreline for Pakistan in the Bangladesh game, but I don't think
Which is
probably 2-0.
2-0.
2-0 with Hassan getting a goal at least, but I don't think Pakistan will qualify for the semi-finals because the other result won't go in their favour.
What do you think, Atishay? Do you think the Bangladeshi side are going to withhold a win?
I don't expect Bangladesh to win today. I think it's going to be a score draw. That's going to be the likeliest result. Or
0-0, 1-1?
A score draw, so at least 1-1. I think 1-1 is the likeliest result in my head. And but yeah, so because of that, I don't see the team going through to the semis.
Right. Today's matches will decide who will make it through to the semis from Group A. Afghanistan and Maldives have already qualified from Group B. It's going to be a very tight game forward. Thank you for tuning in. We have live action waiting at the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
नेपाल 11:30 बजे टिकट सिद्धिसक्यो 11:30 बजे तपाईँ विश्वास गर्नुहुन्छ छँदैछ म टिकट त्यस्तो छँदैन त्यो